Hey guys, this is Dr. Jansen, and today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions when we have the same denominator. Let's get started. All right, so looking at number one, we have 5/12 plus 1/12. And this is great because they have the same denominator, and when fractions have the same denominator, they're super easy to add and subtract. We'll be talking more later in another lesson about when they don't, but today we're going to talk about when they do. So when they do, we actually just get to add the numerator, these top numbers, across. Super easy. So 5 plus 1 gives us 6. And then what we do with the denominators, these bottom numbers, is they actually just stay whatever they are. So in this case, they're both 12, so they just stay 12. We do not add them together. We don't subtract them. They just stay what they are. So again, top numbers, we do whatever the sign says, so we either add them or subtract them. Bottom numbers, they just stay what they are. And that's it. You're done. The only thing you have left to do is simplify your fraction if you can. So we always have to ask ourselves, can I simplify my answer? In this case, we can. 6/12 is a fraction we can still simplify. My students always get hung up on this. They're always like, but how do I simplify? I don't know what number to divide by. I'm not that great at picking out a number or figuring it out in my head. There's not really a wrong way to simplify as long as you keep dividing. As long as you keep dividing, you will get there no matter what. So I'm actually going to show you a few different ways that you could simplify this fraction and take the time to do that and show you that no matter which way you divide it, you'll get the right answer. So first, let's look at 6 and 12, and let's just start off really easy. We see these numbers are both divisible by 2, okay? So if we divide 6 by 2, we get 3, and if we divide 12 by 2, we get 6. Awesome. Now let's rewrite 6/12, and let's pick another number they're both divisible by. Let's say I was looking at this fraction, and I said, you know what, Dr. Jansen, I see that both of these numbers are divisible by 3. Great, awesome. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Fantastic, you can simplify that way too. Lastly, there's another number both of these are divisible by, and that is 6. And this is actually the easiest. If you can see right away the biggest number that they're both divisible by, that will help you to get to simplest form faster. But again, it's not about speed. It doesn't really matter. As long as you just keep simplifying until you can't simplify anymore, you will get the right answer. So when we divide both these by 6, we get 1/2. So now let's go back up to this top one. I'm right up here. And we look at 3 and 6. And again, we have to keep asking ourselves this question. Is there another number that I can divide both 3 and 6 by, or is it in simplest form? And there is. I can still divide 3 and 6 both by by 3, sorry. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now I move on to this next one here. And 2 and 4. Is there a number that I can still divide both 2 and 4 by? There is. That number is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Bottom one right here. Are there any numbers I can still divide 1 and 2 by? And there's not. There are no numbers I can still divide 1 and 2 by, so this one is in simplest form. And since all these other ones are 1/2, we know that applies to all of our other fractions as well. And ta-da! You have put your fraction in simplest form, and you have solved this problem. Great job. But I just wanted to take the time to show you that because a lot of people get hung up on that. They're like, oh, am I simplifying the right way? There's not a wrong way as long as you just keep going. As long as you keep simplifying till you can't simplify anymore, you just keep dividing, you will get the right answer and you will have put it in simplest form. Okay, so hang in there. Okay, so now we're going to look at number 2, where we have the same as before. We have the same denominator here, 5 on the bottom, and we're subtracting, adding or subtracting, great. But the difference is we have this mixed number. We have this big 2 next to it, and we cannot continue to add or subtract if we have a mixed number. First, we have to convert it to an improper fraction. This is something I've covered in a previous lesson, so I'm going to move pretty fast. Remember, we move counterclockwise when converting these. We just multiply these two numbers here. 5 times 2 gives us 10. And then we add this number here. So we're going to add 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. That becomes our new numerator. And then we just carry down excuse me, whatever number is here. In this case, 5 was our denominator. So we just converted this mixed number 2 3/5 to 13 over 5 as our improper fraction. Okay, so now we're going to continue. I'm bringing down my other part of my problem. So we've got 13/5 minus 2/5. And now we do exactly what we did in the previous problem above. 13 minus 2, remember we get to just subtract or add straight across for the numerators, the top numbers. 13 minus 2 is 11. And remember with the denominators, they stay exactly the same. We don't add them, we don't subtract them, we don't do anything like that. So I'm left with 11 over 5. Now the problem with this is I cannot just leave my answer with the number on top bigger than the number on bottom here, okay? With this improper fraction. I need to convert it back to a mixed number. The way that I do that, there's two ways to do it really. One, I can do it in my head. I can go, okay, how many times does 5 go into 11? 5 goes into 11 once. 5 times 2, 10. Okay, 10 fits into 11. How about 3 times? 5 times 3, 15. That's too many. 15 does not fit into 11. That's too many times. So then I have to figure out how much is left over. What's going to be left over for my fraction? So if I know 5 went in twice, 10 fits into 11. 5 times 2 gave me 10. And then how many is left over? Well, if I'm starting with 11 here, 11 minus 10 leaves me with 1. So that leaves me with, it went in twice. I had 2 5s that went in there. And then I had 1 left over. So that's 2 1/5. If doing that in your head is not super easy for you, totally understandable, you can totally punch it in your calculator. So 11 divided by 5 shows you that it's 2.2. By the way, this is my favorite calculator of all time. This TI-30X IIS by Texas Instruments. I have all my students use it. It's amazing. But you get this 2.2, and you see that big 2 on the side of the decimal. That tells you 2 is going to be your big number. Okay, that tells you that 5 went in there twice. And so then you can go back to multiplying just like we did here. So it tells you 5 went in twice, then you would multiply just like we did here, and you would get 10. Then you would subtract 10 from 11 to see what was left over, 1, and you would get that exact same answer of 2 1/5, just like we did there. Great job.